All right, this will be a fun topic to talk about. A lot of people say free weights are better for muscle growth than machines, but no one seems to be able to give a proper explanation or answer why free weights are better for muscle growth than machines. They will tell you things like with free weights you incorporate more stabilizing muscles, therefore there's more muscle activity, then therefore you get more muscle growth. um, if you really think about it, how big your rotator cuff muscles can get, how big your stabilizing muscles can get, um, that's the thing with the fitness industry. It's very common. You will see people repeat the things they heard from someone else, whether it's a trainer or a friend or something they read online, without really questioning or thinking why they do the things they do. That's exactly why I do these videos, to shed some light to topics like this, right? All right, the debate. So free weight proponents can argue movement patterns are constrained with machines, which is true. With machines, movement happens in a fixed line. Um, Dumbbell bench press and machine bench press would be a good example here. So with the machine bench press, when you sit down on the machine, it's just a fixed part. When you push, that bar part is a fixed part, right? Compared to when you do a dumbbell bench press, especially a beginner working with the challenging weight, you will see that that's all over the place. If you look closely, a beginner doing a dumbbell bench press, their starting position will be different with each rep. You have to watch really closely. It'll be slightly different. Ending position will be different, and the bar path will be all over the place. If you look at a experienced powerlifter doing a barbell bench press, then you will see each rep is very consistent. Start at the same position, end at the same position. Bar path is exactly the same, but that comes with a lot of experience, right? Right. So it is true, but I don't see that as negative necessarily. You will see why in the coming slides. More muscle activation with free weights, also true. With EMG research, when you compare the same movement with free weights and machines, you will always see more muscle activation with free weights. However, more muscle activation does not always translate to more muscle growth. So the argument is true, but it's not a strong argument, right? More stabilizing muscles involvement, more bang for your buck. So it's the same point I discussed before. Yeah, with free weights, there's more stabilizing muscle involvement, but how big your rotator cuff muscles can get, how big your hip flexors can get, and how much they would contribute to overall muscle growth. Right. So the machine group, they would argue you are taking unnecessary risks, and they will catch up eventually. So sorry about that. Right. So when you train with weights, there's always a risk. I mean, if you wanna eliminate the risk, I don't know, maybe pick up some other sport, maybe chess or something, right? If you work with weights, there's always a risk involved. I agree with free weights. There's a slightly increased risk. However, if you spend enough time learning the proper technique and movement, you can train with free weights very safely. Yeah, again, it's not a very strong argument. It is true to a degree, but I don't see that as a very strong argument. Okay, moving on. You can target a muscle group since you are not spending energy to control and balance the weight. Right. So now that's a very good argument. That's probably the only argument here that I can get on board with. So if you take the same example again, dumbbell bench press and machine bench press, when you sit down on the machine, you don't have to worry about stabilizing. Machine does it for you. All you have to focus is pushing the weight, right? Compared to if you are working with a challenging weight on dumbbell bench press, then there's a lot more going on. You have to have good coordination. You have to have good focus. You have to spend energy focusing on those things, right? Right. So here I chose the two photos. I chose Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler for a reason, because I have seen sometimes people bring these two bodybuilders up when they debate on the internet, free versus machine. They both became Mr. Olympia, so the free weight camp would argue they both became Mr. Olympia. Ronnie Coleman primarily worked with free weights, and Jay Cutler primarily worked with machines. So they would argue, okay, Jay Cutler became Olympia, so therefore you can definitely build muscles with machine. And Ronnie Coleman later, later in life, currently, so he's retired, he's dealing with a lot of issues, a lot of injuries, and if you follow him on social media, he really lives with pain. Compared to Jay Cutler, seems to be doing pretty well. Doesn't seem to have any serious injuries, look happy and healthy. I don't think it's a very good comparison, because Ronnie Coleman is someone who's tried to push things to the absolute limit. So he can squat 800 pounds, man. How many people can squat 800 pounds? That's just ridiculous. So when you try to push limits, he understands there's a risk involved, but he had bigger goals what he wanted to achieve. I'm not saying Jay Cutler didn't have bigger goals, but everyone has different focus and different things they want to achieve. So he was aware of the risk he was taking. So again, I don't think that's a good comparison. It's just nitpicking, because you will see there are a lot of old school bodybuilders that primarily trained with free weights actually live pretty happy and healthy life without injuries. And the other side of it, sometimes I've seen people argue, because a lot of old school bodybuilders trained primarily with free weights, and modern bodybuilders use a lot of machines, and modern day bodybuilders are way bigger than old school bodybuilders, so therefore you can build more muscles. Again, it's a terrible comparison, because modern day bodybuilders have advanced drugs. They use advanced drugs, and they use more drugs, so they're pretty much abusing drugs. So again, there are a lot of variables. So which one it is? My point is, none of these arguments are very strong arguments that give any clarity for us to be okay, for us to make a decision and go like, okay, this is better than the other. So yeah, so that's where we are now. So we will look into more things that matters actually in the coming slides. Sorry about that. Yeah, right. So the main difference between free weights and machines. So with free weights, there's a lot of involvement in antagonist muscles and stabilizing muscles initially, but when you improve your balance and coordination, that antagonist muscles involvement reduce and stabilizing muscles involvement increases. So if you are not familiar with the jargon, that's fine. So agonist muscles are the prime movers that causes the movement. Antagonist muscles, it has in the name, they are the opposing muscles, inhibits the movement, and stabilizing muscles help us balance, right? So when you improve your coordination and balance, that antagonist muscle involvement reduce and stabilizing muscles involvement increases. So that initial strength gain, the beginner strength gain, primarily actually comes from reduction in antagonist muscles involvement. So think I'm trying to throw a ball across the room. So this is the movement I want to do. And I have a 30-pound resistant band around my arm and it's attached to the wall, right? So when I try to throw this, now I have 30 pounds pulling me that way, the opposite way. So I will not be able to throw that ball very far, right? Because I have 30 pounds pulling me that way. What if I change this band to 15 pounds? Now I'll be able to throw further because it's not, compared to before, I don't have much resistance pulling me back that way, right? So it's the same thing when antagonist muscles involvement reduces, you will be able to move more weight. So therefore you will experience more strength gains, but that strength gains primarily come from reduction in antagonist muscle involvement rather than increasing in strength in agonist muscles. Right. Compared to machines, with machines, there's little involvement in antagonist muscles and stabilizing muscles from the beginning. So all strength gains you experience from the beginning actually comes from increased strength in agonist muscles, so the prime movers. With free weights, that initial strength increase or the beginner newbie strength gains comes from reduction in antagonist muscles involvement. After that, consistently you see the strength gains consistently you see comes from agonist muscles. Right. This is another area we don't have a great deal of good research. Sorry. But this study is really cool. This came out of this year. I think it was June. Not 100% sure about the one, but it's relatively new. So 46 participants, young men and women, aged between 18 to 30, average training experience 26 months to 27 months. So slightly over 2 years, not complete beginners. Randomly assigned to two groups, so free weight and machines. Training program, 2 days on, 1 day off. Duration 8 weeks. Length is decent, long enough to see an effect. So they did a 2-day split covering whole body, but when they test the results, or they measure the results, they only tested biceps and quadriceps. So bicep muscle thickness identical. There's no difference between machine group and free weights group. Quadriceps, no statistically significant different, but slightly favors machines. So I included the quad exercises they did. This is not the full program, by the way, it's just for the quads, because when we look at the exercises, we can understand why machine group saw a slight advantage. They did leg extension. So leg extension is fantastic, and legs. The rectus femoris, one of the quad muscles, is better targeted with leg extension. So the machine group did leg extensions. That's probably why they saw a small advantage. So what we can take from this study, you can build muscles with both free weights and machines, but some muscles are better targeted with machines, right? So right. We are talking about muscle gain, but not strength gains. But I'll talk about this anyway because I'm not too sure. I will talk about machines versus free weights in the future again. So we'll talk about this here also. Okay. So this is so strength gains are specific to the type of stability. Right. What does that mean? So when you train with free weights, you are training in a more unstable environment compared to machines, right? So if you take the same example again, machine bench press versus dumbbell bench press. When you work with the machine does the stabilization for you. So it's a stable environment compared to dumbbell bench press. I'm really sorry. Right. So what does that basically mean? If you increase your 1 rep max in dumbbell bench press, that does not necessarily translate into machine. That strength gain does not translate exactly the same way to machines. So that's a better way to phrase it. So let's take an example. It's always easier to understand things with examples. Let's say you want to improve your bench press. So you're going to do a bench press program for 3 months. Before you start the program, you test your barbell bench press, dumbbell bench press, also Smith machine bench press. But you're only going to train barbell bench press, right? So after 3 months, let's assume you increased your 1 rep max in 20%. So barbell bench press, you increased your 1 rep max in 20%. Now you didn't touch dumbbell bench press or you didn't touch dumbbells or Smith machine within that last 3 months, right? So after 3 months, if you go on to test your 1 rep max on dumbbell bench press and Smith machine bench press, okay, remember now you increased your barbell bench press in 20% within the last 3 months, but you didn't touch dumbbells or Smith machine. So if you test your 1 rep max in dumbbell bench press and Smith machine bench press after 3 months, you would experience strength gains in both those lifts, but not to the same degree you experienced in barbell bench press, because all those 3 lifts have different type of stability. I hope that makes sense. The same way, if you just did Smith machine bench press for the 3 months, and if you didn't touch dumbbells or barbells, and if you tested 1 rep max in barbell bench press and dumbbell bench press, you will experience a strength gain, but not to the same degree, right? So that strength gain is specific to the type of stability. So that's the same study. This is from the same study. They found exactly the same thing. So they got everyone, both machine group and pre-weight group, to test their barbell bench press, Smith machine bench press, barbell squat, and Smith machine squat before they start the program. Then pre-weight group went on to do free weights. Machine group went on to do machines. They didn't touch free weights. Free-weight group didn't touch machines. Then at the end of the period, after 2 months, they tested all those 4 lifts 1 RM again. They found exactly the same results. However, the Smith machines group had the worst strength transfer to barbell squat. So I don't remember the exact numbers now, but that strength gains transfer was terrible. So what does this mean? If you want to improve your barbell squat, you have to do the barbell squat. You cannot do machine squat or Smith machine squat or hack squat, line squat. Do those machines and expect your barbell squat to improve. All right, we are at the end. Okay, so key considerations and practical applications. Practical application. When you train, when you pick with the different exercises, the machines, pre-weights, consider your goals first. So if you want to be a competitive powerlifter, you have to squat, deadlift, and bench press. There's no way around it. You have to train with challenging weights. You have to take calculated risks. There's no way around it. However, if you are someone who want to get just fit and healthy, again, those are fantastic lifts, but everyone's goals are different. Then you have to really think and decide, is it worth for you to take that that little bit of extra risk. It breaks my heart to say this because I love those lifts, and I feel like I might be turning some people off from trying those lifts. Don't be afraid of those lifts. They are fantastic. Um, if you if you spend enough time learning the movements and perfecting the techniques, you can train with them very safely, right? So it's just individual thing. You just got to decide. You, Going with the next point as well, you have to analyze the risk and reward ratio for the exercise and decide whether it's suitable for you. Yeah, your build. So this is very important. This is one of the main things I look at when I prescribe exercises to clients. For example, if you have a long femur, you are not built for squats. That doesn't mean you cannot squat, but you don't have the suitable built for squats. If you have a long femur, your lower back will always give up before your legs. So when you're trying to train legs, you don't want your lower back to be the limiting factor. You want to push your legs to the limit, not the lower back, right? So in that situation, if you move over to leg press or line squat or hack squat, they take out lower back from the equation. Now you can actually train legs and push the legs to the limit. If you are someone like me, have a long femur and still enjoys squat like me, you can still include squats in your program. This is where the periodization comes in. When you do like high intensity or strength or low reps, they all three refer to the same thing. You can use squats in that program because most of this problem comes in when you start to do high number of reps. So then when you move over to moderate or high reps, then you can switch over to leg press or hack squat or line squat or something like that. That doesn't not involve lower back. The rep range you are working with is also very important. I know some coaches prescribe this really high reps with barbell squats and deadlifts. I think it's a terrible idea. For example, if you're doing 30 reps with barbell squat, if you're doing true 30 rep max, first of all, I don't know many people have the heart to do it because it's a religious experience. It's insanely hard. I know a lot of people think they are true 30 RM when they do 30 reps, but they are not. When they put down the bar, they still have like 10 reps left in the tank. So I'm not talking about that. Doing true 30 RM, it's ridiculously hard and it's very unnecessary. And also when you do that true 30 RM, half of the set, when you get to like the half of the reps, half of the set, so halfway through the set, okay, it will start to get really difficult. You will start to lose the focus. Then that's the time you are more prone to get injured. So that's a really unnecessary risk, in my opinion. So I think it's a terrible idea to do technical lifts for a lot of reps. So the deadlifts and squats are the most technical lifts, unless you are doing Olympic lifts, of course. You have to pay more attention. You have to have more focus and coordination when you do those lifts. Right. Sometimes tracking and applying progressive overload is difficult with machines if you travel and train in different gyms. So this is more of a practical issue. 30 30 kilos is 30 kilos anywhere in the world. So 30 kilo dumbbell, whether you train any country you go to, is 30 kilos. But if you choose the same weight in a machine, like if you choose 30 kilos in one machine and 30 kilo in another machine, it doesn't have to be two countries. It's even in two different gyms, two different brands of machine, it will feel very differently. The resistance will feel very different. So in practical standpoint, tracking and applying progressive overload becomes a bit difficult unless you train with in the same gym with the same machines. Right, at the time you are tired and less focused, machines may be more safer option. Right, so I'll give you an example. So sometimes when I travel, when I have to catch an early flight, I like to train in the morning. I like to get my training session out of the way first thing in the morning, so I don't have to worry about it later in the day. So when I have to catch a flight early in the morning, I wake up like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and try to get my workout done before I get on the flight. So that when I try to do that, I'm definitely sleep deprived. I only had like 3 or 4 hours sleep. I'm someone like some people can operate well with less sleep, but that's not me. I have to have my sleep. So when I don't have the sleep, I really don't have my focus is terrible when I don't have proper sleep. So in that situation, I'm not gonna try to test my deadlift 1 RM at 3 o'clock in the morning. That'll be a terrible idea. So in that situation, I train primarily with machines because it's a much safer option. I don't need to have focus too much. Machine does the stabilization for you. There's a fixed bar path. All I have to focus is one thing, just moving the weight, right? So in that situation, it's a much safer option. The similar situation, comp prep is a similar situation. Actually, if you have done a bodybuilding or competition preparation or even a photo shoot, photo shoots are not same process, but not as tense. But if you have done a comp prep, competition preparation, bodybuilding or physique competition preparation in the past, your last few weeks, actually you feel like you are sleep deprived. You have the same symptoms. You have very little focus, low energy, you barely trying to survive. So this is the time people tend to get injured. So I like to take out technical lifts from the program in that last 6 to 8 weeks, depending on how the client feels. Most of the time, most people feel really low in focus and low in energy and just barely trying to survive. So I take out deadlifts and squats out of the program because you don't want to risk an injury in that last minute. Imagine you put all that effort, diet for 3-4 months, train extremely hard, and get injured last minute and not being able to do the competition. That'll be terrible, right? So, and also athletes, the competitors, they are the crazy ones, not meaning in a bad way, but they always want to push harder as they get closer to the competition, because in their head they know, okay, my competition is getting closer and closer, so I need to win this or look good on the stage, so I need to train harder. So trying to do that as you get closer to the competition, when you don't have the focus and really lacking in energy, that's the recipe for disaster. So in that situation, I have to be so as a coach, I have to prevent them from getting injured. Sometimes people ask me, why you take out squats or deadlifts? I want to do the squats or deadlifts. I was like, but in that situation, you need to just go with the safe option. You don't want to get injured. Beast mode is only sexy until you get injured. The number one advice I give to my clients and athletes: don't get injured, be safe as the first thing, then you can train hard. It doesn't matter if you are the hardest working person in the room, if you are injured half of the time, you will not get anywhere. Number one, be safe, don't get injured, then train hard. Right. All right. So the takeaway from this video, you can build muscles with free weights and machines. Some muscles like rectus femoris targeted better with machines. Think about the key considerations I just talked about in this last slide when you choose exercises. Think of them as tools that you can use in different situations. You don't have to be cornered to a one camp, free weights or machines. No one's gonna tell you otherwise. So did I say that right? No, so my point is you don't have to be either team free weight or team machine. You think of them as tools and use them in appropriate situations. So that's the main takeaway. I will see you guys in another video.